I love adventure and I love change. I really enjoy being in a new place and finding out a way of making it work in that place, which I guess is a pioneering kind of passion. I really enjoy that. Having said that, I don't particularly enjoy transition. I find it difficult to discern when is the right time to finish one thing and start another. I don't like that place of thinking, right, my involvement in this unfolding story is now coming to an end and I'm moving into a new story and I'm going to be part of this unfolding story. I don't like struggling with, do I stop this and start this? And back in 2002, we found ourselves as a couple at exactly a crossroads like that. After 4 years or so of total involvement in Maromeo, Mozambique, we were coming to a place of trying to discern, is there a seasonal shift happening? Are we moving geographically? We had a new baby. We were in a new season of life. Our understanding of ourselves and our gifts and our passion and our calling was changing. Our understanding of world mission was changing. Our understanding of how to live and work in the context of Africa was changing. Our understanding of even what our mission was growing and developing, I think becoming more integrated. And as that happened, we were recognizing that there were different places, different things, different roles that we could have and play, which would be part of who we were. We weren't always necessarily going to stay in one place, which was probably how we started thinking. So in 2002, we were in Cape Town for a couple of months and a new opening had come up, an opportunity, a new idea to start a communication team for YWAM Africa, a team that would help link up projects around the continent, that would tell the stories of what people were doing in different places, to champion them, to get people praying, to try to mobilise more people to go and work with them and support them. And this idea was something that grabbed our attention. It was a great idea. We really liked it. We could really see the need for this. Our years of living in a very isolated situation in Mozambique had taught us how hard it is to live in isolated places and how important communication is and how much we wanted to champion projects like our own. As we talked and prayed in Cape Town, I had the sense that God was tailor-making an opportunity for me and for both of us. And we both felt that this was the right next step. We opened this up to various leaders around us, YWAM leaders, and they confirmed this was an exciting idea. This sounded a good thing for us. We told our prayer group back in the UK, the same people who had prayed and sent us out several years earlier. And once again, we had very encouraging, confirming, unanimous words from them, a real sense of changing direction for us, and a sense that we were on a journey with God and that there was a fork in the road and it was okay to take the fork. It was heading in the right direction. We didn't need to worry about this. I remember one day at church, somebody was speaking. He said something that I wrote down. It was a significant thought. He said a vision is a picture of the future producing passion in God's people. A picture of the future that produces passion in God's people. Certainly this was producing passion in us. As we shared the idea with other people, they saw the need for it. It produced passion in them. And we came to a place of peace together that this was the right next step for us. We returned to our home in Mozambique and back to our team. We shared with them what we felt was our changing sense of direction and changing season. Naturally, there was disappointment. It wasn't easy to process it. And as several weeks went past, it was actually fantastic to be back in our home again. We were enjoying being back in Mozambique. We had a new family had joined us. We were now 3 families together. It was fun to have new people in the team. There was a sense of vibrancy and life and community that we were enjoying. I remember one week we went to a regional conference in Malawi and we met many other people doing similar types of work to us. It was inspiring to hear their stories and wonderful to think that one day our project in Maromeo might be like theirs. We were just at the start of something, and it was amazing to think what things might look like in 10 years' time. And even as I thought about those sorts of things, a quiet, niggling doubt began to grow in my mind. Are we making a mistake? What if in 10 years' time we've left here and this community development transformative ministry has grown and is becoming so flourishing and fulfilling, and I've missed that whole unfolding story? Will I regret it? Will this be one of the big mistakes of my life that I regret in 10 or 20 years' time? I didn't want to make a decision that I would later regret. I remember talking about this with Miranda. Naturally, she said, you really need to come to a place of peace about this. So I did the right thing. I got on my bike and I went out for a bike ride. I took my dog and we cycled out between the sugarcane fields along a hard, packed, sandy path that goes out into the middle of the plantation. And after several kilometres, I came to the local dam, which had been built to irrigate the plantation. This dam was in the middle of totally flat lands, and it had probably the only slight hill in the whole area. There was maybe a 4 or a 5 metre high dam wall that went around the dam. And so I cycled up this earthen wall, this dam wall, onto the top of the bank, left my bike, and I started walking around the dam. The dam was probably 300 metres circumference, so it took sort of 3 or 4 minutes to walk around slowly. And I remember basically spending the next hour or 2 hours just walking around the dam wall, thinking, processing, praying, asking, am I making a mistake? Is this the right thing? What are we doing? I'm a completer finisher. I want to finish what I've started. I didn't want to leave early on in something. Was this a mistake? As I walked around the dam, I started to notice what was going on around me. And as I started to notice, I saw things in slightly different light. In one part, I could see people working hard, cutting the sugarcane. They were labourers. They were out there in the heat of the sun with machetes, cutting the cane. As I walked and continued around the dam wall, I had a 360-degree panoramic view. I realised that the guys down there in the cane fields didn't have the same view that I had. They were looking down at the ground. All that they could see was the cane in front of them. It was hard work. They were sweating in the sun. They were working hard. I had a different perspective and a different view. And I realised that for at least the last 4 years, my calling, my perspective, my vision had been directed in one specific location, Maromeo. We had been working in one part of the sugarcane field. We had been working hard. We had been cutting cane. That had been our life. I realised that to really see any fruit in Maromeo, it needed people who were willing to sink themselves deep into that terrain for many years to come. And I asked myself, is that my calling? Is that my wiring? Is that what I want to do? As I carried on walking around the wall, I saw that a little bit further along, the cane had already been cut. There was a trailer and a tractor parked up, and there were labourers loading the cane onto the back of the trailer. I carried on walking a little bit further, and the ground had been completely cleared. It was open. It was bare. It looked barren, actually. It was probably ready to be replanted in a few months' time. And as I continued walking around the wall, trying to discern, is my story here in Maromeo coming to an end? What is my new story going to be? It was as if I felt an invitation. Do I want to be walking around a dam wall? Do I want to stop an involvement in one specific corner of the field? Do I want to be deliberately cultivating a more panoramic view of Africa? Do I want to be looking out over different fields? Do I want to be deliberately gaining a big picture perspective, seeing where the needs are, seeing where people are cutting the cane and really needing a glass of water? And telling people, these guys over here need a glass of water. Do I want to be moving around and seeing where people are needing more labourers to come and help them load the cane into the tractor? Do I want to be seeing where the land is ready for planting and calling people to come and plant? As I walked and walked around, I could picture the story in Nehemiah, when Nehemiah is walking around the wall of the city, where there's danger of attack, and he tells the trumpet player to walk with him. around the walls. And he says that if the trumpet is sounded, people are to gather at that point. And the trumpet player was following Nehemiah, looking out with a panoramic view, ready to sound the alarm. It was as if I felt an invitation. Do I want to pick up a trumpet? Do I want to be walking around, seeing the needs, blowing the trumpet, making needs known, taking water to the thirsty? As I thought about this, I had a real sense of excitement. I had a real sense of peace. I had a sense, yes, that's exactly what I want to do. That's the kind of thing that I dream of. I love travel. I love thinking and reading and understanding history. I love the big picture. I love telling stories. I love championing the isolated, the marginalised. I love talking about what they're doing so that other people will pray and give and ultimately go. That's what I want to do with my life. And so I left the damn wall and returned to our home with a clear sense of peace. Yes, I'm ready for this new opening. And so a few months later, we moved down to Cape Town. And I had no idea at the time how relevant and prophetic that picture would be. In actual fact, for the next 10 years, that's almost exactly what I was doing. We started producing a magazine with articles from all over the African continent. I travelled to multiple countries across Africa over that decade, seeing what people were doing, teaching, but also listening, interviewing, writing articles, writing stories, producing videos about different ministries. One of the main things I was doing was producing a 30 days of prayer for Africa several years in a row, literally blowing the trumpet, trying to get people mobilised to pray, knowing what the needs were and how to pray. And so for many years to come, that word was a kind of a foundational word that, yes, helped me change direction, but also helped me understand my role and my unfolding purpose, I suppose. When we make big life changes, we clearly need good guidance. We want to make the right decision. We want to be able to finish well and start well and know that was the right decision to make. It's not always easy. And sometimes these signpost moments where we choose the direction, am I going to go left or right, are really, really important. I was so grateful, and I'm still so grateful, that at that point I was able to make a decision based on what I felt God was saying to me. It gave me direction, but it also gave me peace. And many, many times over the coming decade, I actually used that damn wall picture as a way of explaining what I was doing. It gave me reassurance. Jeremiah, I think it's chapter 6, says, "Stand at the crossroads and look, and ask for the ancient paths where the good way lies, and walk in it, and find rest for your souls." I found rest for my soul. And also, as I had stood at that crossroads and looked and found the right way to walk in, I had a signpost that I could look back on in the future. It helped me make a right decision at the right time, but also in the years to come, I could look back at that signpost and think, yes, that was why I made that decision. One thing I love is that God always seems to work good out of the things he's done and he's doing in our lives. And so my experience, our experience in Mozambique, was really, truly foundational for our next decade living in South Africa. It was foundational for my own heart, for my own passion to support small teams and to work alongside people who are isolated, to work particularly alongside people who are working in the unreached parts of the continent. It gave me an understanding and a clarity of what it's like to live in a truly isolated place and what your needs are in that sort of thing. It really added to my life message, to wanting to see people engaged in God's mission, working amongst the least and the last and the lost, the marginalised people of the world. And to recognise that God is raising up people all over to go everywhere. And so, for me, that moment, that crossroads moment, I guess, it was a real gift. It was a moment of clarity. It was a moment of understanding for the future, and it enabled me to dream and to visualize a role for myself, an unfolding role for myself that was in line with who I was and my experiences. And that was a gift from God for me at that moment.